Hey everybody, welcome to this week's edition of our live video and podcast, wherever you're listening to this here in the permanent weight loss community on Facebook. I'm Pete Weintraub, permanent weight loss specialist and founder of the permanent weight loss community. If you're interested in joining, if you have 25 or more pounds to lose, you're looking to avoid or prevent weight loss surgery, and maybe even reverse type 2 diabetes, you can do that, and I can help you with that. So join us. We're a group of like-minded people. So all you got to do, go to Facebook, go to the search bar, type in permanent weight loss community. You'll see my beautiful mug on the header to the page, and then just request to join. It's going to ask you 3 questions, so don't just request, because if you don't answer the questions, I'm not going to accept you. Answer the 3 questions, and if you're a good fit, I will let you in. We'll be well on our way, all right? So we're about to get started live here in the permanent weight loss community in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, it's that time again. Sorry we're a little late today here in the permanent weight loss community. This is Pete Weintraub, permanent weight loss specialist. I'm the founder of the permanent weight loss community. We have a great question today from BJ. We're going to talk a good amount, or not a good amount, it's going to probably be a short one. If you're watching this live, I'm going to encourage you to comment in the section and let us know what your question is. I'm going to answer BJ's question first because he asked it in advance of the show. But if you have a question about health, fitness, nutrition, mindset, permanent weight loss, anything, just let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them for you, all right? So BJ asks, any recommendations for lower back exercises? I throw mine out 2 to 3 times per year. Muscles just contract super tightly and it's hard to move. I'm sorry, by the way, if you're hearing a dog bark. I have no idea why my dog is going crazy. They are doing work on the house right behind us there through that door that I'm pointing to if you're watching. So my apologies for that. So anyway, getting back to BJ's question. So it's important to keep your lower back strong, and it's also important to keep your core strong, because if your core is not strong, your back, particularly your lower back, is very susceptible to being thrown out, all right? And obviously BJ suffers from that 2 to 3 times per year. It also can and has happened to me in the past. I remember maybe 8 years ago, I threw out my back and I couldn't walk for 4 or 5 days, and I was living on my own too in Queens. And it was so bad that luckily I had a remote job at the time, and I got to work from home, but I could barely walk. It took a long time. I needed support from the walls, from the stair banister, from anything I could get my hand on to stay upright when I did have to walk, whether it was from my bed to the bathroom, to my office, to the kitchen, to my living room on the couch. I spent most of that week, or more than a week, laying down, and it was very, very debilitating, very, very painful. Unfortunately, I lived on my own. I was not with my girlfriend at the time. I didn't have any friends in the area, so I was pretty much on my own. I was ordering takeout pretty much every day, and it was really rough. So obviously, this is not something that you want to have to endure if you can help it. This isn't going to prevent it 100%, but I hope I can shed some light on what you can do to improve the situation. So for starters, I definitely think it's important that you warm up and you go through a dynamic warm up. Again, we've talked about that a few weeks back. If you're watching this, whether it's live or on YouTube, I'll put a card up here so you can see the video on my quick 3-minute dynamic warm up. If you're watching this live, after I'm done with filming this live, I'm going to then put the link to my dynamic warm up in the comments below. There's a few things in there. There's trunk twists, there's spreading out your feet, keeping your legs as straight as possible, touching the ground and coming up overhead. Those are just a couple of the exercises in there that will loosen up your lower back. And before exercising, I can't emphasize this enough, you do not want to static stretch. Static stretching meaning like you hold the stretch, so like you're warming up your shoulders, you do something like this and you hold it for 30 seconds or so. You don't want to do that before you exercise. And the reason for that is that, yes, does it help open up the area? Yeah, but it makes your muscle very elastic. And if you're doing any type of exercise that requires explosiveness of any kind, that requires movement, then you're leaving yourself open to potential injury because your muscles are too elastic. So think of a rubber band. If you pull it out to almost a breaking point and then you push it just a little beyond it, what's going to happen? It's going to snap. And that's why you see a lot of athletes, luckily in recent years in most major sports, they've remedied this. So that's why you've seen probably through your lifetime, if you watch any type of sport, a lot of athletes with hamstring, quad, calf injuries. It's usually because they're static stretching these areas prior to playing, and then they're playing through the game. Maybe it's really humid and they're running really hard, or they have to react and they have to contort their body in a weird way that causes that muscle to tear. It happens all the time. So you want to make sure you go through a dynamic warm-up. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, that link is in the cards above. Sorry. And if you're watching this live, I will post a link to that video in the comments below. So do a dynamic warm-up. You also want to keep your core strong, like I said. So a lot of people, and BJ, I know you belong to a gym, they'll go on these ab crunch machines or these twisting oblique machines. And those are okay to an extent, but that's not really working out the area of your back or the area of your core that really needs to be worked. In fact, for most people, even if you have a gut, unless it's pretty big, you can see definition in the upper 4 abdominal muscles here for a lot of people, even if they do have a belly and large love handles. And the reason for that is because just based on our lifestyles and how our bodies operate, it's very hard to get visceral fat up in our upper abdominal area. Not so hard in the lower portion. So you want to work on your lower core especially, because that's an area, especially since we've become more sedentary, that's an issue. So I'm going to put a link again. The card to that playlist will be up here, my how-to exercise component, or I'm sorry, not component, playlist of my YouTube channel. If you're listening to this, it's just youtube.com/weightlossbypete. If you're listening or watching this live, I'm going to post that in the comments as well down below, a link to that entire playlist. There's a bunch of core exercises in there. Some of the best ones for your lower back are cobras, broken table crunches, even bicycles, and there's just a bunch of them in there. Also, BJ, I know you do these moves. Deadlifts. Deadlifts are a great movement that I highly recommend a lot of people do. Squatting, but doing it with proper form. And again, I'll link, I already linked the playlist. So just go to that playlist and go at the squat and deadlift videos and look at how to do those exercises, because that's really important that you maintain your posture. Those are basic functional movements, whether they're weighted or not, that you can perform that will help, because then when you deadlift, essentially what you're mimicking is you're going down to pick something up off the ground. So let's say you've got some groceries and you're picking up a couple of bags to put away in the cabinets, in the fridge, whatever. A lot of people will hunch over and completely bend their back, and that leaves them very susceptible to injury. In fact, when I threw my back out, like I mentioned at the start of this video or podcast, the reason I threw my back is because I was deadlifting like 500 pounds at the time, and I had terrible form. I didn't keep my chest up. I didn't drive through my heels. The form was terrible. It was literally gore lift above ground, and I threw out my back entirely. I knew it when I did it, and there's usually when you pull or tear something, there's a like maybe an hour-long window where you can still move, but you hurt yourself, so you need to get heat and ice on it pretty quickly, and you need to get off your feet, or else it's just going to hit in the second you do. And I had to drive 30-40 minutes after that, so it wasn't pleasant getting out of the car. But you got to be very cognizant of your form, especially when you're going down and up. So even if you're sitting, I'm sitting right now with my back. When I stand up, I drive through my heels, I squeeze my glutes, my butt muscles, and I keep my chest up just like it is right now, and I stand up tall. So let's moving it back. I just stand up tall, right? And then I sit back down. You see how I did that? You see how I wasn't hunched over at any point during that? That's what you want to do when you're squatting as well. And the squat is probably the best body weight exercise you can do, especially for your core and your lower body. And that's really going to prepare you to avoid lower back injuries. The better you develop those neuromuscular and motor recruitment patterns for going down and coming up, the more likely it is that you'll maintain that posture in day-to-day life. So again, like picking something up off the ground, whether it's a package from Amazon that was left outside your door, groceries on the floor of your kitchen, and you're looking to put them away, whatever, you mimic that movement and you drill that into your motor recruitment patterns. And like I said, I didn't have that naturally. It's something you have to work on. But the more you do that, the better off you're going to be and the less likely it is. So, and then lastly, BJ, one other thing from a preventative standpoint, because you mentioned you want to do preventative stuff later on in this thread, was yoga. I know you're already doing it, but for those of you watching this who have had issues with your back, who want to avoid this, here's what I suggest, all right? Do yoga. If there's a local yoga studio and you have some friends or neighbors or family members that go to it, go with them. Often these places have free classes, whether it's one free class, a week of free classes, a month of free classes, whatever, to try it out. Try it out. Trust me, in just a couple of weeks, you'll notice a big difference in your functionality, your flexibility, and the way you move, the way you stand. I used to hunch, and my shoulders used to be forward. I can't even do that anymore because I've untrained myself from doing poor motor recruitment patterns to good motor recruitment patterns. And a lot of that is attributed to yoga as well as, like I said, being cognizant of your form. You're performing a down and up exercise like a deadlift or a squat. So those are the few things that I'd recommend. So BJ, for starters, again, just to reiterate for those of you watching or listening, strengthen your core. Go to my YouTube channel, weightlossbypete.com youtube.com/weightlossbypete, and go to the how to exercise playlist. There's a bunch of great core exercises. So again, cobras, broken table crunches. Those are a couple really good ones that you want to master. And broken tables too. Instead of just crunching, you can just hold the position, arm opposite leg on all fours, arm opposite leg out, and hold that. Start at 10 seconds and go to 20 seconds and 30 and so on. Really build up those muscles in your lower back, because your core isn't just in the front. This is another misconception that a lot of people have. They think that the core is just your abs in the front. No, your core wraps around your entire mid to lower torso. So your core is a very large component. It includes back muscles as well. Some other things you can do, like I said, are functional lifts and movements like squats and deadlifts, maintaining proper form. So like I said, keeping your chest up at all times, driving through your heels when you're standing up from the bench position, keeping that chest up, squeezing your glutes when you're coming up off the ground, staying on your heels. These are important things to consider. Another thing you can do, BJ, that you might be able to do, I don't have a video for this because it's very hard to do with the minimal equipment that I use with a lot of my clients, but there's an exercise called the good morning where essentially you've got a bar on your back. It's a light bar. It's not a heavy bar. You keep your legs completely straight and you just bend and hinge at the waist. You bend all the way down and then back up. You squeeze your butt as you come back up. And that'll obviously A, stretch out the area, and B, strengthen the muscles in your glutes and in your lower back, which will enable you to minimize your susceptibility to injury in that area. So that was number 2. And then lastly, yoga. So again, BJ practices yoga already. I know that because he asked a question about it not too long ago. So BJ, keep doing that. That's going to help strengthen your core and improve flexibility and functional movement patterns in that area. If you're not doing it, like I said, look up some local classes by you. It's really not difficult. There are some great programs that you can do online on your own if you're more that type of person. I personally recommend DDP yoga, D as in diamond, so 2 D's and 1 P as in Peter. And that guy is a former professional wrestler. I know him, not too personally, but I met him and we've exchanged messages on social media after I met him. And I'm actually going to be taking his class later this year. I'm going to become certified in his form of yoga because A, I want to know about it for myself, and B, I'd love to be able to add that component to the fitness aspects that I incorporate with a lot of my clients. But that's a great program that I did it almost exclusively. That was my only form of exercise outside of softball for a year. I stopped lifting weights for a year and I just did yoga, and I got to tell you, everything went up. Even my strength, when I returned to lifting weights, nothing was lost. In fact, I gained some strength since prior to doing the yoga. So yoga is a great preventative thing that you can do, not just for your lower back, but for any type of injury in general. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, this is Pete Weintraub, permanent weight loss specialist. If you're watching this at a later time, whether it's on YouTube or you're listening in through the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher, please leave a like and subscribe to either channel. I highly recommend it. We're going to come at you with at least one of these every week, and we're going to cover different topics from these folks in the permanent weight loss community. If you're looking to join the permanent weight loss community, I said it at the top of the show, but I'll say it again. All you got to do is go to Facebook, type in permanent weight loss community in the search bar. You'll see my mug there. You just request to join, answer the 3 questions, and if you're a good fit, I'll let you in. Really simple. We got about 170 people in there now, and we're slowly growing. I've turned away about 3 times that number of people because they either weren't good fits that filled out the questions, they weren't good fits, or they just didn't fill out the questions. And even though I'd even follow up with them, they didn't fill out the question. So fill out the questions, and you'll more than likely be let in. It's for folks who want to lose 25 or more pounds, avoid weight loss surgery. They want to just kind of reclaim their lives and not have to worry about failing health either currently or later on in their lives. So guys, thanks again so much for watching or listening. We'll come at you again next week with another one of these, and I look forward to talking to you guys. Have a good weekend.